Hey, and welcome to another episode of the DweeBros podcast. We are on the road, and I am a liar. I said we weren't doing a podcast this freaking month.
I know. I didn't think we were either. So you got me in the car for an hour and a half.
And I said, we're driving, and we won't stop driving. We don't even know where we're at until we do a podcast.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Here we are. Welcome.
And you know what we found as we drove, as we tried to find ourselves in this podcast dilemma, was the TORG Gaming Expo in Columbus, Ohio.
We did. What does TORG stand for?
I have no clue.
We spent so much money, and I don't even know what that stands for.
I mean, it could have been something really bad. I don't know. But they had video games there. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We might talk about some other stuff we played this month and other fun stuff going on. But thank you guys for joining us on this road trip podcast.
We've never done a road trip. We've done a hot tub. We've done pool episodes.
We have streamed before E3, and I was in the car and you were at home. Do you remember
We've
that?
done that.
E3 reactions. While
We've done like at a game store, but we've never done like on the road.
Yeah. So
we are being safe though. You're just driving.
I'm just driving. I'm keeping my eye on the road, but
yeah.
You can see me.
And
you
can see me, and I can see you.
And Travis might display some of the stuff we got today,
Yeah.
but we went to the TORG Gaming Expo in Columbus. And last year was the first year I'd went, and I talked about it on the podcast, but I got to meet Charles Martinet, I think is his name, the voice of Mario, original voice of Mario. He's been kicked to the curb.
So you say original voice of Mario, not former voice of Mario. Once you're the voice of Mario, you're not.
He's the original.
You're not. You're always the voice of Mario. You're just not being paid to be the voice of Mario anymore.
Yes. So they've moved on to a second generation of Mario, but that was last year's. But this year's, I told Travis, hey, I think we're getting freaking Master Chief. We got Cortana, 343 Spark, and we got the announcer.
The announcer.
I don't know all their names off the top of my head. One's Steven.
Here, hold on.
Master Chief.
So that we don't butcher someone's name and offend anybody specifically.
Yeah. And we can't actually butcher the name because some of these people, so we'll go into this a little bit later in the podcast maybe, but said they're going to check out the DweeBros podcast.
Yes, one of them said
they
would literally watch the podcast.
They actually asked us for the information, so it wasn't like us trying to be fanboys or whatever.
So here's our group.
Goobers.
Steve Downs, Master Chief. Tim Dadabo.
343
Guilty
He spoke with
Spark.
us, I felt like, the longest. Him and the announcer, I think.
Yeah. Jeff Steitzer, great guy. The announcer.
Very cool
Also,
guy.
we'll show you in a minute, he referred to himself as the voice of God.
Yes, I think, and after Travis said that, I was like, he might have been in the credits as that. That might be like their funny little thing.
But you know him as the announcer from Halo, and then Jen Taylor Cortana is really sweet, really nice lady.
So they came this year, and then they also announced, and they've had some YouTubers in the past, but I don't follow a ton of YouTube like people or personalities, but so last year I didn't know the people they had last year, but this year I saw Metal Jesus, and I didn't get to talk to him, but Reggie was another one that was there. Like,
Reggie Fils-Aimé?
Not him.
Oh.
But he was to the left of him, but they always kind of do videos, collabs together. But so I was like,
we saw one other YouTube personality. That's a good one to start with.
Oh, a TikTok personality.
TikTok personality. We saw, I got a card.
Oh, you have the card from him.
I got a card. Let me
tear up this
manual. I got the card signed from the Time Traveler from 2005.
That is so freaking funny. So for people that don't know, I don't know if that's too close. That might be not
too close enough. Not close enough. Here, there.
You're from 2005. I don't know how close you're supposed to move it.
The Time Traveler from 2005.
So he's a TikTok kind of phenomenon. This guy goes around, he like sags his pants. He has all these like styles from the 2000s, and he gets people to try to buy his CD from the 2005, the bootleg CDs. And he had the bootleg. I looked down, that's what made me laugh the most. He had the bootleg stuff at his booth. He had the bootleg DVDs that he has like in those videos or whatever, but he had his own trading card, and then he signed both of our things at the time. I was like,
free.
What a funny thing. Because like, I've seen this guy a couple times on my For You page, but he was there. He's very funny. I was like, I have to go up and talk to him. But I saw him walk around when we were eating and stuff. That was he was a time traveler.
You talked to Metal Jesus for a little bit.
Yeah, I talked to him about his basement.
Yeah, you go up to him. All these people are like, "Oh, I love your video about Final Fantasy, whatever. I love your video
I like
about
to give
this."
people a curveball.
He walked up and he's like, "Hey, you made this video about how your basement kind of flooded, and
Yeah.
like I took a lot of like, advice from that, and
Yeah.
I was trying to protect my basement, and it was just like you guys got into a good home ownership conversation.
Yeah.
About the perils of stray water.
Because that video was going on just when we were moving to our second house, and that's all that was on my mind, because I had different people come. They're like, "Oh, you can do this, and you don't have to prepare your basement for anything." And I was like, "Nah," and I went crazy with my basement, which I'm glad I did. But like,
Yeah.
you don't want your games moldy. Is what I'm saying.
Don't want moldy games.
But yeah, we
Speaking
showed
of
up,
moldy games, we bought some games.
bought some games, tons of vendors. I think they had just as much or even more than they had last year of vendors.
This is the way, if you are a collector and are trying to buy physical games, this is a fun way to do it rather than
people had like wagons they were pulling of tons, like they were just loading up.
It was pretty curated. It wasn't like a bunch of junk. I don't know. Sometimes you go to used game shop and it's
they
like
definitely have the
80
clearance.
Mads.
You got clearance stuff, but you have stuff behind glass that's the stuff that you want to look at mostly. But stuff that you never see. That's what I was telling Travis, is like copies of stuff. I will say some of that stuff maybe already sold that I saw last year, like Pokemon Box for GameCube. They had that last year, just one-off vendor, and he was like, "Yeah, I've got it for $4,000. It was like $4,000 or something he was wanting for it, but that's
crazy.
The going price for it."
What was the most expensive thing we saw today?
Maybe Kujan for PS2.
Yeah.
That one. But what was funny, it was like, or was it behind glass? I think it was behind glass.
It was each time.
I was surprised the amount of things that weren't behind glass. You pull it, and there was like $95 things.
I was flipping through, and it was like Silent Hill on PS1, $195, and I'm like, my hands are on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this is.
I'm surprised how loosey-goosey some of those vendors were. Like, I think everybody should have the glass, for anything above 100. Like, what are we doing? But, no, they had a cool selection. You could like go. Well, you kind of gambled. It kind of almost didn't pay off for you.
I did, yeah.
You were looking for a copy of Halo 2 because hey, I brought my copy of Halo 1, my original copy.
Well, let's back it up a little bit. We're going to meet these people that made Halo. I didn't have a plan. I've never been to one of these things. I'm not like you. I've never been to this. I've never gotten stuff signed. I don't even have a collection at home. I just go and hang out and see your collection. So
You're the anti-collector.
I was kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out on, am I even going to get anything signed, or am I just going to walk around with you and meet these folks? Because that's a fun experience, meet these people and watch you get your stuff signed. But you said, and it was one of the first vendors we went to in the morning, because we said we'd walk around, buy some stuff, and then in the afternoon we'd go get the stuff signed.
Yeah. Because
the line's pretty long. One of the first places we go, they had a really good condition Halo 2 Steelbook.
Yeah.
And you were like, hey, you could buy that and get it signed by all these people that are here from Halo. And then the gears start turning. I'm like, I could do that. That's a good idea. That maybe I should do that. And but I saw it, but then I was like, well, I'm going to think about it. So I left the Steelbook, and we walked around forever, and we found one other Steelbook. When we got to the afternoon, I decided I did want to do that. But I didn't buy either of those Steelbooks, and the one was gone. Then we ran to the other side and looked for it.
We luckily found it. We
ended up finding it, and I got it. It wasn't too expensive. It was $25 or whatever. And I had that Steelbook when I was a kid. I just lost it eventually. And I'm glad I got that. That was the perfect thing for signatures.
Perfect thing for signature because it just has a logo in the middle, and you can sign stuff all over. But so we you got that. You actually got more games than I did.
I did.
But do you want to show them to the camera?
You got them
right
let's start with the other games. Let's start with the other games, and we'll talk about the Halo stuff. So I own some Metal Gear Solid games. I think I own 1 and 2 and 4 and 5 physical for their originals, their original consoles. But I don't own Snake Eater. I have it on a collection, but I don't have the dedicated Snake Eater box. So it's nothing too crazy, but I went ahead and picked that up. I was excited about it. It's got a color, a fully color manual, which is cool too. A lot of the manuals are black and white sometimes. So I'll be excited to kind of mess around with that. Seemed like a good time for that. I don't really know why I bought this. I just thought it looked cool. I got a Katamari Damacy.
It's a good game,
is that the normal cover?
Yeah.
I just thought that cover looked cool. I've seen this game for years, and
that's a normal one.
I bought it
But we were laughing because it had JP
It says
on the front.
JP on it.
And I was like, I think you bought, I got out there, I was like, I think you bought the Japanese
Yeah,
version.
he thought I bought the Japanese version, but it was English on the back. And I was like, well, I'll just play it and I'll use Google Translate to figure it out. And then you were like, it's region locked.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that, actually. Yeah. So I was like, well, I'll look at it while I emulate Katamari Damacy. But actually, I think I'm going to be fine. Yeah. So this is a fun game. Seems like a fun game. I'm going to play this at some point. The other one is I've been on a bit of a Resident Evil Silent Hill kick lately. I did not buy
that thing around the
okay. I did not buy any Silent Hill stuff because it's all unbelievably expensive.
Yeah, they just price that up and stuff.
Alex and I, you guys know Alex from the channel, we have been talking about maybe playing Resident Evil Outbreak. You can do this, I think, online with some like fan server type setup or some kind of there's a way to do that. Yeah. You can emulate it. You know, it's always a good idea, I guess, to buy physical and dump your ROM and do it that way. Yeah. We're going to do it legit.
He's doing it legit.
We're doing it legit.
Hear that, Capcom?
Yeah. Well, and I just also thought it looked cool. And
I love that that's in
I got
there.
the time traveler.
Leave that in there in case you ever sell it.
Yeah.
Someone's like, what the heck is this?
I think that's exactly
You know
what
I did one time? Talking about like leaving stuff, because we saw you opened up a Mortal Kombat case and it had like some kids' passcodes.
Yeah, it's got
passwords.
Like,
or like cheat codes.
Cheat codes.
I one time sold a bunch of like my old kid game, like they were kind of more kiddish games. I didn't really care about them. I'll never forget this. My dad's like friend from work, his kids were growing up. It's like, oh, he'll buy some of those games, you know, these little more younger audience games.
Yeah.
And I sold it to him, and I didn't remember till like a year later. I was like, oh, I had all my passwords like for my like websites and stuff. I tucked it in one of those cases.
Oh my gosh.
So that kid's probably like, he probably hacked me. He's probably like taking all my money, you know.
Oh my gosh.
My identity.
Your checkbook.
Yeah. Because I still got the same passwords, you know, of course.
Yeah. Man, that's wild. Well, so that's kind of the stuff I picked up. And then I also did get that steel book. And then maybe we talk about our
yeah, we can talk about so we looked around, tons of good stuff, and then we
before I show the steelbook, I will say, in my brain, autographs are $20, and I don't know, for some reason in my brain, like I'd pay maybe like there'd be like a deal, like I'd pay and I'd get autographs are not $20, kids.
They're not
They're
anymore.
not. But I had a long wait in line to digest it. I went from, okay, let's get this stuff signed, to, okay, I can't at that price.
Yeah,
it's
a
not
roller
happening.
coaster.
But you talked me into it while we waited in line.
Let me weasel you into it.
Said, you know, you'll feel the pain today, but then years later, you will forget about the pain of
when
today.
you look at it on the shelf, you remember that was a funny time to like hang out and do that. So
yeah, and I'm glad. I mean, if I was going to do this for any game series, I think this was the one to do.
Yeah, you're close to that series too.
But yeah.
Also,
so,
we just passed the Hell is Real billboard.
Yeah,
that's where we're at located
real.
right now.
Okay. So I got this steel book and it's signed. So there in the top left is the voice of God has signed that. The announcer. Bring it a little closer in case you can't see. We'll find out if you can see this later.
Yeah, this might be horrible. I think right here's safe.
On the bottom, we got 343 Guilty Spark, and he did draw a little. I didn't prompt these guys.
Yeah, we didn't prompt them to do anything.
I didn't prompt them to do anything. I just said, hey, please sign it. And like, you know, Jeff wrote, you know, voice of God, underlined God. Tim did the 343 Guilty Spark, and then drew a little Guilty Spark. I love Cortana. Jen Taylor wrote the line, thanks for the tank. He never gets me anything from Halo 1, which is great. I love that line. I've always remembered that line. She asked me, she's like, well, what line do you want? And she's like, you want a line? I was like, oh, I don't know. You know, maybe, that'd be cool. And she's
but
like,
I couldn't think of anything.
And then she busted out. She's like, oh, thanks for the tank. He never gets me anything. And she said it just like in the game. Yeah. And I was like, man, that is so cool. Yeah, I'll do that. And then Steve did just Master Chief 117 there in the middle. So, and then it's just the normal steel book on the back. Nobody signed on the back, but I think that is cool. That is, I'm not a collector per se, but that is a cool thing to have in my collection. So, and then you got.
Yeah, do you mind grabbing my stuff right in the back? But I ended up finding, I was only on the lookout for Metal Gear, which I only found one copy on 3DS. It was a bit too pricey, so I didn't get it. But I'm on the look to finish my Metal Gear collection, and as you know on the channel, if you follow my Final Fantasy VII figures, I'm like trying to get all the collection for that. So we got Dirge of Cerberus. I didn't have that in my collection. I've never played that game, so I'm gonna check that out. But pretty nice copy and got that good for a good price.
It's in good shape.
And
then you got Halo
I got
CE.
everything signed as well. It's my original Halo 1 copy. Had since a kid. I got the Xbox original late, so it's the Game of the Year edition, but did not care. Got all that signed by the cast. And my quote, because I didn't have much space. I was scared she was gonna do the same quote, and I was like, "If you want to do a quote," and what did she end up putting? Like
she put, "Wake me when you," or what?
No, she said, "Did you sleep well?"
Did you sleep well?
Awesome. So she put, "Did you sleep well?"
Did you sleep well? And then you got Master Chief. You got a similar little drawing of 343 Guilty Spark, and then shout out to the voice of God.
Yeah.
I like signed right in the middle.
He signed so right cool. on the logo.
I love that.
I think it's so funny.
It looks cool.
Like,
yeah, he was the nicest guy.
So let's talk about interacting with these guys. So first we went to the big long line. Well, first we went before lunch, or like right around lunch. So they're like, he's gonna be going to whatever. And these guys are the only ones left to go in there. And I was like, okay. So we went, got lunch. Which do we want to talk about? I got chicken tenders.
Oh my gosh.
And as we're going up, I was like, these look delicious, Travis. And even you were kind of get jealous. Like,
I was like, man, I should have got the tenders. They look good.
And I waited. Mine were taking a little long. You're like, and you were already eating your burger. And they're like, all right, chicken tenders, okay. And they give it to me, and I don't even have enough time to react. They give them to the next person in line or whatever at the wait area. They gave me like kind of the leftovers.
It was like like when you make chicken and it's like in a pan, there's always like those little pieces that aren't chicken tenders. They're like the leftovers. It's just like leftover little crumbles and stuff. They just gave them a bunch of those crumbles on top of fries. And there was almost no chicken.
I was so bummed, but it was enough. They gave me 8,000 fries, so I kind of whatever.
It was a good burger, but
figure that out for next time. I'll know to be on my guard.
They weren't prepared.
I should have said, do you know, I know who the chief is. So we met the chief, we waited in line, but nowhere close to the amount of time I had to wait for freaking Mario, which was hours upon hours.
We probably waited all
I think less than an hour.
Yeah, it was like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was less than an hour. So you lucked out this time, but
we got there at a good time.
Very cool that we had him. We got a picture with him. I was like, hey, let's get a picture. Yeah. They allowed us to like get a picture together.
We didn't talk with him a ton, but we talked a little bit.
Yeah.
Talked a little bit. He was really nice.
I made him laugh. I asked him, have you got out of a ticket with this or whatever?
Yeah. He was the main
line I was using with all of them, but
he was the main landing point as people got out of line.
Yeah. So he was very nice. We got a picture. I'll put that maybe in here, the picture we got together of him.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were all, that was to go back to like, they were all like, okay, this is how much. They were like $60, $60, 50, whatever. They could set their prices. Okay, we're getting this. But we got a picture with him, got the signature, and we got the signature for the rest. But yeah, I think it was worth it because I'm glad you were with me. I didn't tell you this, but like, because you can just get anybody talking to you. I don't know what it's about your energy. So I was like, oh, because I didn't get like Mario to talk too much to me, but I was like, these people I feel like may talk to us more.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have a long line. Everybody was wanting to get, of course, Master Chief's voice. I was surprised there wasn't a ton of people when we watched or went up to the announcer.
Yeah.
Because he's also kind of a viral, kind of like very big, whatever.
Well, even Cortana, it almost seemed like
they were all pretty big.
Everybody did what we were doing, which was they were waiting for Master Chief first, and then they were going right down the line.
Yeah, rapid fire. But we
could theoretically get in the line for the other folks at any time, but that Master Chief line kept getting longer.
Yeah, you wanted to get that out of the way. You wanted to eat the frog and get that out of the way.
So in the end, it worked great because you wait long for Master Chief, but then you just go boom, boom, boom.
It was so rapid fire.
It was rapid fire. We basically talked with the cast of Halo for like 25 minutes uninterrupted.
We talked way more than I thought we would. So we go up and we first talked to the 343.
Guilty Spark was,
and he did the voice.
Immediately.
Because the other guy, the Master
Chief, you got to pay him to do the voice.
You got to pay him to do the voice, which is fair.
Yeah.
Whatever. I'm not hating, but he just gave us some of the voice.
Yeah, he just started doing it.
And I was like, wow. He just started doing the voice.
Really nice guy. Told us some cool behind the scenes background of him. He knows the guy that played Master Chief from the past. And told us a little bit about Seattle when they were making the game, and really nice guy, high energy guy.
Long time with us.
Yeah,
like surprisingly amount of time.
Oh, shout out to Jeff, the voice of Master Chief. His assistant was super cool.
Yeah, the assistant was really nice.
His assistant was super cool. And she was like, yeah, I don't, we asked her, like, you know anything about Halo? She's like, no, I did not know what I was signing up for. But she helped us get a picture together, and it wasn't as expensive, and so
Yeah.
she was cool. And then we talked to Tim, and then he was really nice, told us some cool background story, and then actually cool nugget, found out he knew the guy that played Master Chief before they were ever in Halo.
He's like, I knew the wife before.
I knew his wife
She
before.
got married to him.
Yeah,
so.
So that was a cool just nugget. You would never know that. You know, they were all actors in Seattle at the same time and knew each other. Then we met the voice of God. Couldn't have been a nicer guy.
Kill-tacular.
Yeah, was doing lines, just talking about different stuff. And
well, I even told him, I was like, because with Mario, I tried to get him and he wouldn't do it. When I met him last year, I was like, hey, one of my favorite lines, he did chuckle. I was like, when I was a kid, my favorite line in Mario, on Mario Kart, Mario's ever done is, it just sounds so evil, but it's fun too, is when like you would lose as Mario Kart, he goes, Mario, get you next time.
Yeah.
And it just sounded like, I'm going to kill you.
Yep. Watch your back.
So I even told the announcer guy, I was like, hey, I freaking loved when I got and heard like unfreaking believable. I knew I was on cloud 9, and that's when he went.
He just went
freaking believable.
He just went into it.
Yeah,
and
he did
the
voice.
Slayer. He just started going into him, and
so you could tell he was having fun, and
he was having a great time.
He spent a long time with us. And then we were, I forgot how you brought it up about like we did a podcast together.
Yeah.
I made a movie. We were talking
about creative stuff, and he actually asked about the podcast. So if you end up watching this somehow, hey, you were awesome.
You were awesome.
To talk
Thank
to.
You for your time.
Yeah, I recommended
we gave him the name of the podcast.
I recommended Megaopolis, so I enjoyed that.
So I was cracking up at like recommending that movie, which we'll talk about maybe in a second. But yeah, it was. He was really nice, and then we went to Cortana. We ended with Cortana.
Jen Taylor,
and she was very
kind,
sweet.
Put
a quote.
Nice.
She was like, "Do you want a quote on this?" And I was like, yeah. Let's freaking change it up on that one. So.
I love the quote she picked, and she did the voice too when she wrote the quote, and it was like, wow, it was uncanny. I mean, it's her, but it was just like how I remember.
She also does Peach's voice, which she was there when I got the Mario thing last year, but I only had time to get Mario and I had to come home for a shoot for the movie that we did last year. But I'm glad I got to get that this time.
She asked us if we were related.
Oh yeah, it's like.
And then I responded in the dumbest way. I said no, but our wives are best friends. But that's not related. It's like if our wives were sisters, that would almost. But it was like I don't know. Like she was very nice, very very.
We got
nice.
starstruck.
I got starstruck.
You got peach struck.
By Cortana.
Peach struck by Cortana. Sounds like a level. But yeah, very nice people.
Very nice people. They were really cool, and they gave us little tidbits, behind the scenes stuff. So if you ever get the chance to go meet them, they're all very nice.
Yeah, I feel like they try to do them a package deal, and that's smart to do. But we were talking, who should TORG get next year?
Yeah.
Get David Hayter, but that line will be out the door.
I would love David Hayter.
That line would be out the door.
I would pay everything I paid this go around just to spend a minute with him, and
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So
get his.
I feel like that has to be in the works sometime. Whatever, he's got to come say hello.
That'd be cool. We talked about that in terms of game industry people, and then YouTubers. Who would you want? Console gamer. He would be cool to
What
meet.
about us? I mean, we got to talk to him and get us.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, if you want to see us go to TORG or go to some conference, let us know.
Yeah, but no, very fun conference. Did we talk Megaopolis? I don't think we've talked Megaopolis or Joker or any of that.
No, because we said we weren't going to do a podcast, and now we're doing it.
Well, let's talk about it on the podcast we weren't supposed to have. So, saw Megaopolis. You didn't see Joker, but I saw Joker. But Megaopolis, let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah.
So it's the new film from Francis Ford Coppola, made The Godfather, director of The Godfather, and he had a vineyard, some wine, like, I don't know if it's land with all these vineyards or wine collection. I don't know what it was, but he sold all of it.
Yeah.
To fund this film, and it ended up being like 120-ish million, something around there. It's made, the last I checked, 4 or 5 million total.
So basically a colossal financial
failure, but creatively, probably, I mean, he's been dreaming of this since the 80s, 70s or 80s. So to him, he gets to do what the .0001 people get to do in their life, which is this level of like a movie.
Yeah.
I think famous directors won't even get to do what he gets. You know what I mean? Like, he had to self-fund it, but he got to make the vision of all visions of like what he wanted.
Yeah.
But Adam Driver's in it, Aubrey Plaza,
Yeah, Shia
Shia
LaBeouf,
LaBeouf.
John Esco,
But
Esposito.
this movie, it is about. I mean, what? How do you even get the premise?
Here's what I would say. Well,
I'll let you do that.
The one comparison that made me laugh was someone said that basically Megalopolis is like if Hideo Kojima directed a SimCity game. And I actually think that's hilarious. Basically, it takes place in a city that's called like New Rome. It's kind of a sort of a New York City, but not exactly. And it takes place, and there's kind of the mayor and the head of the union and like the head of the bank, and like these are the main characters, like the city planner. You know, everybody is kind of they represent a major institution within the city. The main characters do. And basically, I would say the idea of the movie is you've got different people with different visions for society and for the city. And there's a prominent family of which Adam Driver is part of that, you know, has an unbelievable amount of money. And, you know, Adam Driver is the main character. He's got a very bonkers out there vision, extremely out there vision of life and of what he's trying to do with the city. And then you've got a mayor played by Gus from Breaking Bad. And he's got a more conservative, more, you know, kind of, I would say kind of tame, plain, let's maintain kind of vision.
Yeah.
So it's a movie about being pragmatic versus being artistic.
Yes.
It's a movie about doing the safe, logical thing versus chasing your dreams, chasing your heart, chasing your vision.
And in a way, it's kind of about what Francis...
It's about him making the movie.
Making the movie, yeah. And it's about like what his like arc is like a human like being creator.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, there's even a point that's kind of hokey. I mean, there's so many hokey parts.
There's some goofy CGI and hokey
there's even
stuff.
a part when like he says, "Hey, I never told you my name is Frank, short for this." Kind of like, or just call me Francis. And it's so on the nose.
Yeah.
It's
well, let's talk about the
like,
dialogue. Well, that it's literally him. But like you talk about the way this movie is written and stuff, it is very
disjointed to hell and back.
It is very funny. It is a very sometimes intentionally funny and then sometimes unintentionally funny movie. Oh God, scripting! My water bottle just popped. Very goofy and weird, and there are scenes that are very serious. And people get like shot and crazy stuff happening, like Godfather level, like, you know, little twists. And then there are scenes where you've got like music videos like happening imposed over top of the scene, and crazy like characters doing things. And Shia LaBeouf is a complete buffoon.
He's a little jester.
He's a little jester in the movie, and he ends up becoming like a Trump-like political figure in the town. And all I can say is, even though it had a lot going on, I was able to take something from it that was clear, a message that was clear.
It gets very philosophical at points, to the point where some people have compared it to, it's not exactly the same, but Ayn Rand's like Fountainhead and
it's almost an allegory.
Atlas Shrugged kind of level things of that level, more a Fountainhead. But in all of that, it's also incredibly goofy.
Yes.
And I just look up on YouTube if this is kind of up your alley. If you like even The Room, some people compare it to The Room, but just go on YouTube and look up the clip, like Back to the Club. Type in Back to the Club, Megaopolis. There's a line from Adam Driver where this one of the other main actresses come in. She wants to talk to him, or like she's amazed by him, and he calls her entitled, which comes up into the weirdest exchange I've ever seen in a movie. I think I've seen more normal conversations in The Room than this. It's because it just sits for so long, and like this is so just weird feeling. He says, "You're entitled," and it sits on her, and she goes, "Entitled?" And you hear him go, "Yes," and she goes, "Entitled?" Yes. And she goes, "Entitled?"
Yes. And it just happens like 3 times.
And it's so asinine. I've just never like.
But it's cinema. Like you're watching it. It's not boring. It's not.
But it's shocking because it's the same way The Room is shocking, because The Room had a budget behind it and those cameras were really nice. So you've just never seen fricked up stuff filmed in that quality. And that's how I felt Megaopolis. It has the best lighting I'll never be able to touch in my life. You know what I mean? And like actresses and all that stuff. doing such a weird exchange. So that's just a funny clip. And
it's just
and
funny,
whatever.
weird dialogue.
There's
and
multiple funny
exchanges.
lines in that same clip. You'll see, but all
was
that said,
entertained. I
it's
was
pure
entertained.
cinema. It's pure this guy's vision, for better or for worse. And I never wanted to like walk out of this movie. I was constantly entertained. There are movies that are better put together, that are better like flow wise or whatever. I'd kind of maybe rather watch this at time, you know what I mean? Because I think this will be a cult classic. People come back to it and go,
I agree.
You know, this is kind of a cult classic. I think there's going to be a section of people that are like, yeah, this ruled. So and I think I'm in that crowd.
I'm in that crowd. I had a great time with it. This has been kind of the year of people offloading a lot of their personal wealth to make their dream movie.
Furiosa had to like go so many years to get the funding for them to be able to do that too. And
Megaopolis, I recommend it. I mean, there's certainly people that I wouldn't recommend it to.
Yeah, you got to come in with a certain expectation. We came in like seeing all the articles and what this was going to be. It was like, oh, we're in for a ride. Because people are like, this is a 5 out of 5 movie, and other people are like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So you got to come in with.
If you go in expecting The Dark Knight and it's just like very conventionally good, you're gonna maybe be a little confused. But
I think going with open mind, you'll have fun.
Yeah.
Definitely on that.
Okay, Joker 2. I did not watch this, but you can talk about it freely because I'll watch it at some point. But I think I'm generally spoiled on what exactly is going on in this movie.
Okay.
So
Joker 2, very bad reviews have come out on Joker 2. I'm here to say, check it out, actually. I love Joker 1. It's its own disturbing kind of thing. And this movie, I really didn't know what kind of path it was going to take. I knew that, Lady Gaga is Harley Quinn in this, but I didn't know the premise. I didn't know what the frick was actually going on. I didn't even know he was in jail. Like, he was going to be in jail. That's where he's at, of course, for what he did in the first movie.
Okay.
Because I don't even think you see him get booked in the first movie, do you?
Yeah, you do. At the end, he gets
end,
arrested, and then he's in the psychiatrist's office at the end.
Oh, okay. I thought it ended on, like, him just, like, all the psychos in the city and stuff.
He gets arrested in the psychos in the city scene.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that either.
Yeah, I'd forgot that that's exactly how it ended. But, yeah, this movie, when it was advertised, I wasn't interested. I was like, oh, why are we doing this? But when they said it was a musical, I was like, oh, I'm all in. Like, this makes sense to, like, go off the rails on this. But I recommend the movie because I loved those musical parts are spaced out and you're just following his, like, brain. You're just following these weird inner thoughts of him to the point where I think it fits perfectly as a musical, actually, because musicals are kind of like you're separated from reality, right? Because if like me and you were talking in a movie and I go da-da, and it's like that's not a normal thing to do.
Yeah.
So this movie is perfect for that because it's like he does start seeing all these things happen and it's in his head and it makes sense because he is living his own reality. He is whatever. There's so many layers of this movie and I can go on and on about it, but I will say I enjoyed it. It's very funny at times. I went with my friend Brian and we were just cracking up at certain points. The musical numbers are good. The cinematography is beautiful. But you can't come in thinking it's going to be a superhero movie, for one. And two, you can't kind of expect the first movie. But what is cool is because of the first movie being such a big deal and he shot these people and those like in the movie and kind of turns into the Joker in that first film, this one is about that. It's about that. It's a trial. It's the big set piece of this thing, and what the big focus of the film is he's going to trial for this, and they're going to see if they like put him to death penalty or whatever.
Yeah.
And he has like a social worker that's working with him, like, hey, here's what they're going to see. Are you ready to interview with them? And here's what's going to happen. And but it's about those people that he killed, and like how do you whatever. And I told my friend Brian when I was sitting there, and I was like, I'm okay with this movie because they could have gone their own route, made it another blah, 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 doing this. But I love that they actually looked retroactively back because I was like, this is a terrible example. So don't hold this against me. But this will make sense. When September 11th happened, is people talking about September 12th or September 13th? No, we are always, I mean, we're talking 9/11. That's like the every year kind of thing on the calendar, like never forget 9/11. Nobody remembers 9/14, 9/15.
Yeah.
Same thing with this movie. Those were such shocking things that startled everybody. It's like,
Yeah.
let's actually like digest those, and he
Yeah.
has to face those things. And
Yeah.
like as a character, let's go back to 9/11 of this character.
Interesting. And
so-
does he like actually struggle with all the stuff that happened?
It's a big. He has to, in that trial, in that case, like things come up, and he has to like tackle that. And some people, that's what I've kind of like.
That's
like
interesting.
I've kind of like looking at people that really hate this movie and the critics and stuff, because they kind of comment in this movie, because he's like, they're like wanting him to be Joker. They want him to be Joker and be this whatever guy. But then he struggles with that towards the end or towards certain parts of this film. That comes up. It's like, am I Arthur or am I Joker? And what's this? Whatever. There's different layers of this film, and I really enjoy all of them. So,
wow.
I'm actually gonna say, don't listen to the critics. If you liked the first film and kind of take it for what it is, don't think it's gonna be like some kills the first movie or whatever. I just thought it like took the context of the first film and made it amazing. Like,
and there's not going to be a 3. This is it, right?
I think that especially after the response, this will be it. But I felt like the director was just putting in the knife, like, here, you want this? Or
so you think this works as a good like 1-2, like a good like duology?
Duology, it's perfect. And yeah, I don't think he'll ever be invited back into the offices there at Warner Brothers or wherever that was.
Well, that's cool.
I think it's awesome. I think it's a
actually wanna
cool take on that character. And Lady Gaga's awesome. She sings great in it. And, very entertaining throughout. So, Joker 2, recommended.
People hate musicals. People hate movies that subvert expectations, and
this will subvert your expectations. Yeah.
So this movie was going to have a hard road.
And a lot of things. But I'm glad it got made. I'm glad Furiosa got made. I'm glad Megaopolis got made.
Yeah.
All these works of arts, it's like, this will, it's cool you got to do this at that level, and that vision is crazy to do that. Because I just finished my film, like my independent film, and I'm so satisfied with that. But like to have those millions and millions of dollars is like, you're in like La La Land. Like that's just like dream world to do that level of stuff. But very cool they got to do that. Cool films this year. Really enjoyed film all this year.
That's awesome. Hey, I'll give an update. We finished our Bond marathon.
The Bondathon is done.
Is done. Put in the books. We watched Spectre, and then No Time to Die, and No Time to Die is I've talked about that on the podcast before. It's a great Bond film. It's a great ending to the Daniel Craig Bonds, and
nice.
We finished them. We finished all of them. I guess there's like 20, 27.
And what was your best one? What was the one your favorite?
I think before I did all this, it was Casino Royale or GoldenEye, kind of those two. And I think after all this, those are two still my favorite.
Nice. You solidify. That's good when you get like a rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, you don't say I didn't put in the work. I watched all 28 of them or whatever. But yeah, but I will say some of them rose up my ranking. Spectre rose up higher than I hated it when I saw it in theaters, and I liked it a lot better on rewatch. There's a couple parts I don't like about the way the plot unfolds. Basically, in the old ones, there's this guy named Blofeld, and he's the guy with the cat.
Yeah.
So he's kind of James Bond's, nemesis in the old ones. Well, in the new ones, they kind of did a different thing. Where back in the day, every Bond movie was standalone, so you didn't really need to know what happened in the last ones. And the Daniel Craig 5 movies, they all build on each other. Like they are direct sequels to one another, kind of like Batman Begins, Dark Knight. So they're way more connected than they used to be back in the day. Back in the day, you could just go see Batman and Robin. It didn't really matter, like whatever. It's not really a sequel. It's just kind of another movie. So they brought Blofeld in this movie called Spectre, which was the 4th of the Daniel Craig ones, the most recent ones. And the deal with Blofeld is he runs a global organization of crime and whatever. Well, in Spectre, it's Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
And he runs this global organization of crime, and they're hyping him up because it's like, oh, this is our time to, it's like bringing Ganondorf back in the remake of Ocarina of Time. But then they make this twist, and they're like, and him and James Bond are brothers. And it sucks. It's so stupid. Yeah. It's not necessary. It'd be like revealing in a remake of Ocarina of Time, like Ganondorf and Link are brothers, too. It's like, we don't need this. Yeah. Like, this is unnecessary. He's already systematically killed James Bond's girlfriend in this movie and done this and done that. Like, there's enough reasons to hate him. They wanted to, like, add this family level to the conflict, and it wasn't necessary. So that happens in Spectre, and that's always bugged me about Spectre. But on rewatch, it's one little thing they add at the end. It doesn't really matter. The movie overall is pretty good. It's got some good stuff in it. So,
Nice.
yeah, we're done. No Time to Die is great. I'd say that's probably in my top 5. So I'd say Casino Royale, No Time to Die, GoldenEye. I would work in something from the Roger Moore era. I'd say Live and Let Die. I love that one. That's the one with New Orleans with like all the James Bond goes to like the hood in Harlem and like it's in the 70s. So there's a lot of fun stuff going on in that one. And then maybe Thunderball. I think that might be my favorite Sean Connery one.
Cool.
Yeah. So
the Bondathon
is done. Got my top 5 already solidified.
Speaking of Bondathon, the Hankathon this month, there's a new movie with Tom Hanks called Here, with Robert Zemeckis is coming back, who did Forrest Gump and
okay.
Some other.
What's Here about?
It's about the camera stays in one spot over 3,000 years. And they just show what happens over a period of 3,000 years in history.
Oh my God.
In that same spot, and the camera never moves. So it like will do that, and they'll jump to a different period or whatever. But I think it got panned as well from critics. But Robert Zemeckis, I think it is who did it, or I might be off. But he said he was like, I've already done all I want to do. I'm doing crazy stuff now, like crazy out there ideals.
That's crazy.
Like I want to do kind of novel ideals now.
Is Tom Hanks going to play different characters?
Yeah, I believe so and stuff. But wow. I'm down to check that out. I want to go see that this month. But
that sounds cool. That's interesting just for the novelty of it. What do you think? So like 1917 had that big thing of like it's one continuous shot here. We saw a movie recently come out that was like, this is a slasher movie, but sold from the perspective of the killer.
Yeah.
And I saw another one get announced recently, like, this is a horror movie, but from the perspective of the ghost. I told Jess, I was like, this stuff sometimes feels really gimmicky.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time, like, sometimes, but I love 1917, so, like, sometimes gimmicky is fine, like, it works.
Yeah.
But, like, is there anything you see where you're like, that's just a gimmick, I don't really want to see that? Or are you always down to at least check it out and see what they're trying to do?
If it's an interesting ideal, I think I'm always like, oh, that's a novel ideal. Right? I've never heard of that. It's always worth, like, checking out.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything where I'm, like, buzz off. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you have any that are, like...
I don't know. Some of these horror ones where it's like a scary movie, but told from the perspective, shown from the ghost perspective. I'm like, what are we gonna just see these people freak out all the time? Like, I mean, maybe that'll be scary.
Your first thought is like, what are we doing here? But
it's interesting.
I played and finished some games. I want to talk about real quick. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has been.
This has been the last 8 podcasts.
I mean, the entire year I've played this game, but I won't have to go into it more. I platinum it. All I want to say is the platinum. Do not go for it. It is the hardest gaming achievement I've ever got in my life. You have to do mini games well. You've got to do battles well. You've got to do all these side quests. It took me over like 225 hours. Like, but that's all I played this year. Like people played like, oh, I played like 10 games this year, 11. It's like I mostly just played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I freaking adored it. It's so much bigger than Remake. I don't have to go on. I've talked about this every podcast. But all that to say, the platinum, I don't like to get platinums, but for games I really enjoyed, and I just never got sick of this freaking game after 220 hours. Like, I just was in love with it.
See, now when I play it, if I need any help or advice,
I'm like the master cheat.
You'll be like, go to this
But do not try, if you try to get me to do this platinum or those hard challenges in the simulator mode or whatever,
no.
I'll be like, I will never. I'm retired from those.
Who's the kid with the little spectacles?
Chadley, yeah.
Chadley.
That's what I was, or the hard stuff, but
driving you crazy.
It took me like weeks on end to do some of those.
Well, I had my own mini version of that because I was trying to go for the platinum for intermission, but all that Fort Condor or whatever that mini game was, I got to like maybe like halfway through that and was like, this ain't happening.
Yeah.
This ain't happening. There's no way.
Yeah, but
how many individual mini games are in this game?
Gosh, there's so many. People like complained about it. I do think this game is kind of a little bit not bloated because you don't have to. I don't like when people say that because it's like you don't have to do all that stuff. Like sometimes they throw that at you and you have to do some of them, but I thought they were fun. There's one, you're a frog and you're like running around. You have to like hop and make sure you don't get hit by this like platforms and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
It's actually really fun. I just thought they were goofy and fun, but There's a ton of new mini games. There's a card game that's awesome. It is actually, I don't like card games in any video game ever.
Never like card games.
I never do, and this is like quick and fun and easy.
Is it
to
Triple
like.
Triad?
No, it's called Queen's Blood.
Okay.
And they actually like have a story with it as you keep going on. There's like a story involved in it, and it's really cool. So this game is like filled to the brim with content, and I loved it. I adored it. So, yep, platinum it, and I put it away. So I'm done talking about that for a while. Astrobot, I platinumed that very quickly. That was not as hard as Final Fantasy Reaper. Yeah. I beat it, and I was like, what do I have to do to get platinum? And it was like 4 things, and I just did them very quick, and I was done. So, but Astrobot is awesome. If you have a kid, like I have a son, but he is not old enough to like play games or whatever. But he was like watching the screen because there's so many funny noises and stuff coming from the controller, and he was like watching me play the whole time, like kind of enamored. Like,
that's so cool.
What is going on here? But music's great. All these different costumes that are like these bots that you collect are the PlayStation 1 characters.
I love when you get them all like to like make a human bridge.
You press a button and they help you like get to certain parts of this like main hub area, and if you have
all like pile up like a ladder and you climb up. But it's like Crash Bandicoot and Spyro.
Yeah, but I beat that. Highly recommend Astrobot. That was just excellent all the way. But that's mostly what I've been playing.
Nice. I've been playing new Call of Duty a little bit.
Oh yeah, we've been playing.
You and I've been playing that, and
that's fun. The movement is crazy in that one. Other than that, it's Call of Duty, but the movement is awesome.
The movement's pretty cool. I'm playing a little bit of Helldivers too.
I'll be playing that soon.
It's fun. Simple. Like it is a great dad game. You know, just like you got an hour to.
I said that about Gran
Turismo,
but Helldivers is a dad game. Wow.
Yeah, Helldivers is almost more of a dad game because you just turn your brain off and just go jump in. You don't have to level up guns or anything. You do get one currency for doing missions, and you just use that to buy these things called stratagems. You know what stratagems are?
No.
They're just basically you land on the ground and go run around and do operations, but your ship is still in orbit. And stratagems are like different things you can call down from your ship, kind of like Metal Gear. Okay. You can call down like another gun. You can call down like a little power up. Yeah. And basically the way you activate stratagems is there's a button you hold, like on PlayStation, it's probably like R1 or something like that, or L1. You hold the button, and then it's a set of up, down, left, right inputs. Yeah. So like maybe one stratagem is like to get, you could call in an orbital strike. You hold down the button and go up, down, right, up, down, right. And then you have this orb and you throw it, and then it does the orbital strike where you threw the orb. Nice. But you basically... Really, all you do is you unlock these stratagems and you can equip them for whatever mission you're doing. Yeah. And then get really good at doing those inputs really fast. Okay. So you're fighting and shooting these bugs and you're like, oh, I got to get out my orbital strike, and you boom, boom, boom. It's like a little code you put in. Okay. But it's just the D-pad. That's all it is. So like that's the extent of picking your loadout. Is like what stratagems you want to take. You can take 3, 4, 5 as you unlock more stratagem slots, and then picking what gun you want to have. Okay. It's like so easy.
Yeah, I'll be playing that soon.
Yeah, and it's fun, and you just go and you drop in and you run missions. They take 20 minutes or so, and you just move on. It's a good time. Playing Deus Ex Human Revolution still.
Nice.
No idea what's going on in that game, but it's been fun. I just go and I hack stuff and I sneak around and I knock guys out until they catch me, and then I shoot them, and then I move on to the next.
I like
mission.
The art style of the game. Everything's gold.
Yeah, everything's gold. It
like
is.
Lots
it
of
is
gold
unique.
Light and stuff in that. Cool.
It is a unique vision of the future. So, played a little bit of that, and then fired up my Cyberpunk save. I'm at the very end of that game, so I'm trying to finish that. So, I'm kind of in the middle of a lot of games, and the biggest one I'm playing, like when I get dedicated time, is Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
I'm about a third of the way through that. I never played Silent Hill ever growing up. I always thought those were more atmospheric. Like growing up, I always thought Resident Evil is scary and Silent Hill is more atmospheric. And
I kind of had that.
What I have learned is Resident Evil has a couple games that are scarier. It's a little more action oriented.
More action oriented.
You at least always have a way to fight back for sure, and like. Especially like Resident Evil 3 and on, they're action games mainly. Silent Hill's scary as hell. I don't know where I got this idea. It's just atmospheric. It is a penetrating, permeating, terrifying atmosphere. And yeah, when you're walking around on the streets, it's atmospheric, but these like weird like entities that are like all legs,
Yeah.
like they are all made out of legs and flesh, are like jumping at you out of the fog or like sliding around on the ground. Like you'll just see them slide around the ground in front of you, and you're like, are they attacking me or are they just leaving? And then they'll come back behind you. And then the apartment sequence in that game is like a 2-hour dungeon, basically a dungeon crawl through these abandoned, gross, creepy apartments. And then you move on and I'm doing a mission right now that's in a hospital, and so it's a giant hospital, and I'm moving floor by floor, and I have to go in the basement, activate these generators. Some of it reminds me, the generator part in Last of Us 1?
Yeah, that was
when you
very
fall in
scary.
that basement. Almost this entire game is like that.
Yeah, you didn't sell me then on this game.
Almost this entire game.
I can't do scary games unless I'm in a group.
Or like that part in Last of Us 2 when you're in that area with those blind ones that come running through. This game is like that level.
I hated those. I just went out and started shooting so I could
I'm honestly amazed you got through that stuff, knowing how much you don't like scary.
I hated that. I just went out and started shooting to like get them to come to me because I was I can't like try to sneak around.
The hospital setting in Last of Us 2
was
unbelievable.
It was
scary. So well done.
And
that was a great level, right?
Yeah, and I laughed because I love like certain gameplay elements of that game for sure. The Rat King.
The Rat King boss. That was.
I laughed actually during it because the Rat King scared me, and I was like, I've never had a boss scare me.
Yeah.
And a boss actually scared me.
That boss was terrible.
Because bosses usually have all this music, and then you know where the thing is, but that thing jumped out at me at one point and scared the crap out of me. But
yeah. So Silent Hill, spooky game. But I'm glad I'm finally playing one of those. We played the first one a little bit one time.
Yeah, we did a stream. We did a hangout stream of Silent Hill 1, which I'd like to return to that one and beat that.
That would be fun. Silent Hill is just such a depressing world.
Maybe that's why I never played it too.
It's dark and depressing, and like chain link fences and like flesh monsters just get ripped to pieces, and Pyramid Head is like, there's a scene in this Silent Hill 2 where Pyramid Head just like grabs one of those leg monsters and is like, you're hiding and is like tearing it like asunder, like in half, just because he's mad, I guess. And you're watching it and it's like making these squelching, squealing noises, and it's like, it feels like you're in hell. Like it literally feels like you are in hell and you're trying to navigate hell.
Yeah.
And Resident Evil doesn't feel that way. Resident Evil, you're in a big spooky mansion.
You're getting spooked.
Or you're in a spooky police station, or later on you're in a village. And I've learned I'm more of a Resident Evil guy because I like that little bit of Metal Gear energy of like, we're on a covert operation and there's a goofy bad guy at the end of the... Like, there's zombies that are scary, but at the end of the day, there's some rich corporate guy that's behind it all. Yeah. Like, in Silent Hill, there's no rich corporate guy behind it all. It's just like Satan himself has created an evil place that you have to work through. So, yeah, that's been a fun game. I'm liking it, but my heart rate was, like, getting elevated playing it.
If you're getting scared, I could never deal with that.
I don't think that one is one for you, but...
Cool. Yeah. There was one movie I didn't get to talk about, The Substance.
Oh, The Substance, yeah.
I don't even know if I can recommend this movie. The Substance is like it cracked me up when I was like, what is this movie? It's getting a lot of people are saying to check it out. It stars Margaret Qualley, Demi Moore. I forget who else is in it, but those are like the two main actresses. But the concept for this movie was like, and the promos were like what sold me on this film. But it's about Demi Moore is kind of like this Richard Simmons from the 80s, like kind of, she got famous doing workout video stuff. And then it gets to a point where it's like, hey, you've aged out, like we're going to get somebody younger to do this, kick you out basically. But in doing that, she has to go to the doctor or something happens and somebody's like, oh, they're like filling on her back. It's like, you're actually a really good candidate. She's like, for what? And then like, he either slips a number to her or like gets her number or whatever and calls like, hey, like, do you want to use this drug? It'll create a younger you. She's like, yeah, I want to do that. And she calls and they give her all these packs and stuff and these syringes. It's like, hey, do this. Remember, you are yourself. Don't forget that. And just take this and you'll get a younger you. And she takes it, like, she's kind of sitting there, like, oh, this ain't doing anything. It's like a placebo, whatever. And then she falls on the floor she's getting like kind of freezing up or whatever, and then you've probably seen on the cover, if you've seen anything of this film, she's kind of like stitched up in the back, and out of her back comes like Margaret Qualley, like births out of her back.
Oh gosh.
But when it said horror, I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to be scared, and it was like, this is a body horror film, and I was like, I've never seen any of these. These never have applied, like, you know, looked appeasing to the eye when you have all this stuff. It's like, oh, it's gonna make me queasy. I watched this film. I think I'm about to quit it because it is so just like, when she's coming out of the back, you can see like the stuff moving in the back. I'm like, I'm getting grossed out. There's blood. I'm just too queasy. But I stuck with it. I'm glad I did. It became very funny at certain points because of how ridiculous this takes this ideal of a younger you that's existing. And I won't go into all the plot stuff. I don't want to spoil it. But they can only be that way for like a week straight, and then they have to switch back.
Oh.
And to switch back to the older version of themselves or whatever. But this movie takes twists and turns. It gets so gross at certain points, but so gross and over the top it becomes hilarious. And I was cackling just watching this film. So check out The Substance if you dare.
Yeah, if you're not queasy.
If you can stomach it. But I was able to stomach it, and I hate that stuff. But I was kind of looking away from the screen laughing at times because I couldn't believe what they were doing. But The Substance.
Substance. Well,
Cool.
It's been a good month for games, movies.
Yeah.
Going to TORG.
Speaking about good stuff, I put out a video called Games Suck Right Now. But in parentheses, but also really good. And that kind of talks about like while we were like kind of mixed on these podcasts and what we were trying to figure out with the podcast of you know, if stuff's been so bad, you know, lately, we hate to talk about that and keep talking about that, but that's all that there was. Just a short like version of this, but check out that video. Kind of goes into my thoughts about the industry. I kind of go like I sit in a chair and I just kind of ramble for a little bit about stuff. But yeah, make sure you comment and let me know what you guys think.
Yeah.
About that kind of content because I haven't done that in a while. Just sat and talked for.
Oh, that was a good video.
At length, but yeah, check that out. And will we be back next month? We were supposed to be back this month. Well, now it's November, but you know, usually we have never missed a podcast since 2017.
Well, we still haven't missed one.
I thought we were going to miss one. We might miss Thanksgivings, but we'll definitely be back, or in the Novembers, but we will definitely be back for our end of the year. Check that out in December. Towards the end of December, we put out a ranking, like our favorite games, movie, TV shows of the year and all that. But, oh, I also want to shout out, what were the people at the TORG we talked to? Debate This.
Oh, the Debate This podcast.
Was it Debate This?
Debate This podcast.
Yeah,
That's what they were called.
We had like a business card, but Travis went up to them. Travis will want to be nice to them, but I will not because he asked them to.
They have a debate podcast.
They have a debate podcast, but I have a problem with them. If you're watching, Travis asked, "Well, I got a question for you," and he told them about our Stadia bet. And I don't want to tell you who they thought was right because.
Well, if you can guess by him not wanting to tell you, they said that I was right. Yeah. And they said it sucks, but I was right.
And they were using a lot of terms, and Travis was
they
pointing.
Called you,
like,
they said you were using genie in the bottle logic.
And I love that.
He said
I love that. I just love.
He said a monkey's
He did
paw.
say monkey's paw, but I love that Travis didn't know what any of those meant.
Yeah.
He went, see,
yeah, can't argue with genie in the bottle.
Can't argue with that, but no, check those guys out. It was really fun. They asked, is a DVD player at their booth? It was a really good booth idea. It was like they just had a scale, and you could put like a piece, like these 3D printed pieces, on yes or no, and it said, is a DVD player a game console?
Yeah.
And we both said no, but then they were trying to fight us.
Yeah, they were trying to fight us, and their examples they gave were like Shrek 2, there were mini games on it.
Yeah, there were mini games.
I said, that may be an outlier.
Yes.
But if somebody said, go get me a video game console, and you brought them a DVD player, you would be extremely disappointed because that is not a video game console.
Yeah.
They don't market it as that.
Yeah.
That's not the classification.
But that was a fun
product.
question. That was a fun debate. But shouts out to them. And then shouts out to the Halo people. Oh my gosh, that was cool. I didn't know I'd be able to, like, I was just amazed talking to, I was like, I'm talking at length from 343 Smart.
I know.
Like all this stuff, like these people we've heard since our childhood. But it was really cool. Really surreal little experiences. But and then TORG, hey, great convention. I really like how
Very
spaced
nice.
out it is. It's well run. I will be back.
They just got to fix the chicken nuggets.
Fix the chicken nuggets or we'll fix you. But thank you guys for watching. Check us out on X. at DweeBros.
TikTok.
TikTok, we have a TikTok, DweeBros. And like and subscribe to the channel.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. See you later.